precarious situation of Mother Earth. And having seen the situation, are you able to hear? Because I'm connecting from my mobile phone today.
Yes, true.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh. So seeing the situation of both the Mother Earth in the form of cow and religion personified in the form of bull, Maharaj Parikshit, he makes up his decision to punish Kali. And when Kali saw this was the last verse that we discussed. When Kali saw that Maharaj Parikshit is very capable, very competent, and he will be very much chastised by Maharaj Parikshit. So what he did, this was the last verse, when the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. So Kali changed his position immediately. So we'll go forward. Patitam Padayor Kripaya Deenavatsala Sharanyo Navidat Shlokya Ahochedam Hasan Iva. So Sudha Goswami continues to speak. He says, Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and whose glories are worthy of being sung in history. Very beautiful composition. It says, Patitam Padayor Viraha. Who is Patit? Kali. And what he did, he fell at the feet of Veera, who? Hero, Maharaj Parikshit. And who is Maharaj Parikshit? He is Kripaya Dina Vatsala. He is compassionate to those who are fallen. Dina means who are poor, but he is Vatsala. He is kind to them. And Sharanyo, he took shelter. He Kali fall on the feet of Maharaj Parikshit and requested to be pardoned, to be safeguarded. So Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and whose glories are worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor, surrendered, and fallen Kali. Now Kali is being said here as poor. This evil Atatai is being addressed by Srila Shuddha Goswami as poor. Why? Because he had surrendered, but smiled compassionately. Who smiled? Maharaj Parikshit. For he was kind to the poor. For an ordinary Kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person. This is another quality of a Kshatriya. What are the other qualities of a Kshatriya? One of the foremost quality of a Kshatriya is that he does not kill a surrendered person. What are the other qualities of a Kshatriya? Kshatriya king? We read in Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Purushottam?
Hare Krishna Guruji. Being a Kshatriya, one has to fight if someone is.
Yeah. Yes. When he is challenged, he cannot refuse to fight. He must fight. And either he kills or he gives up his life, but he cannot turn his back. This is what Krishna told. What was the verse? Krishna spoke in the Bhagavad Gita when he was inspiring Arjuna that your fellow companions will call you a coward because Kshatriya is not supposed to leave the battle. Very good. Also, Kshatriya has this quality that anyone comes to take his shelter, he must provide shelter. Can you give any answer based on Krishna Lila? There is a very wonderful incident where Krishna wanted to kill, but he gave shelter. And then Krishna could not do anything. We just read. I just want to see your memory. We just read that episode. Yes, Ramya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Lord Krishna wanted to kill the Maya Rakshasa, but he took shelter of Arjuna, then Krishna doesn't kill him.
Yes, perfect. Yesterday, Pranab Prabhu spoke about it. Right. When the blazing fire was set to satisfy Agnidev, so there was this Maya demon. Krishna wanted to kill, but that demon came and took shelter of Arjuna. And Arjuna's, if a person is under Arjuna's protection, Krishna can never kill. So it is said that a Kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person, and what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit, who was by nature compassionate and kind to the poor. He was smiling because the artificially dressed Kali had disclosed his identity as a lower class male. And he was thinking how ironic it was that although no one had ever been saved from his sharp sword when he desired to kill, the poor class Kali, the poor lower class Kali was spared by his timely surrender. Maharaj Parikshit's glories and kindness are therefore sung in history. He was kind and compassionate emperor, fully worthy of accepting surrender even from his enemy. Thus, the personality of Kali was saved by the evil of providence. It's a very beautiful verse which talks about the Kshatriya spirit and glorification of Lord Ram. I made you all memorize that verse. What it means? It means when one surrenders, what does Lord Ram declare? What is the prayer? Very beautiful verse from Ramayana. It is in context to what we are discussing. That if one takes shelter, then he is protected, irrespective of whatever he may have done. Who can be more sinful than the personality of Kali himself? But still he is being protected by Maharaj Parikshit. Why? Because he has surrendered. I expect all of you to know this verse. When we went to Ayodhya and Chitrakoot, I made all of you memorize this verse. You have not made it in the practice of daily recitation. Only Ramya remembers. Priyanka?
हरे
बोलिए,
कृष्ण
आप भूल गए?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी रक्षित जीवलोकस्य धर्मस्य परिरक्षिता रक्षित स्वस्य धर्मस्य स्वजनस्य च रक्षिता
Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear? आवाज आ रहा है? हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी ब्रेक हो रहा है थोड़ा थोड़ा
अच्छा, मैं इस पे सुन नहीं पा रहा हूँ. आप लोग बोल रहे हैं तो मेरे को इसमें मोबाइल पे सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. हरे कृष्णा. हरे कृष्णा. रम्या आप बोल सकते. रम्या आप बोल सकते. रम्या आप बोल सकते. रम्या आप बोल सकते.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हाँ बोलिए।
प्रभु जी, सकरदेव प्रपन्नयस्तव अस्मीति च जायते अभयं सर्वदा तस्मै ददामि एतद् वृत्तं मम।
This is devotion. This is where the jiva is actually aligning to surrender. How can we forget this verse? So many times I made you all memorize this word while we were in Ayodhya and Chitrakoot Yatra. And I told you every day, every time you come in front of Lord Ram, when you come to the altar, you must recite these verses. Sakra deva prapanno yas, tava asmi iti sayachate. That I am surrendering my everything. Sakra deva prapanno yas. And tava asmi iti sayachate. And if you really call out that, my dear Lord, I am yours. How? By the process of surrender. And what the Lord says, Abhayam sarvadatasmi. I will always award you fearlessness. Dadami etas vratam mama. That is the vow Lord Ram has taken. And you have forgotten this because you don't need the protection of Lord Ram. You need the protection of Kali. Where is the need to remember this prayer and call out to Lord Ram? Kali is taking shelter to be protected, but we are thinking that we are so capable that we don't need protection. Did I not, in so many times on the Ramnavami occasion, I have recited this verse and made you memorize. Pradeep, don't you remember this verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, I remember.
So
Three verses I remember.
So you lost your voice or what? Or you were not able to speak? Why didn't you speak? And Manoram, you have no desire to chant the mantras. Huh? There's no desire to glorify or call for protection from the Lord. Bhakti is very personal and individual. To the extent we are inculcating this desire to cultivate relationship with the Lord. How we can cultivate the relationship is through the prayers. But we are so busy, we have no time for prayers. Then the influence of Kali will always be there in our heart. And will continue to suffer the influence of Kali. Why? Because you are not seeking shelter, you are not interested in shelter. Tell me, Manoram Prabhu, did I not make you all recite and memorize this verse?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And I told every one of you that you must recite this verse every day. What is the difficulty with you? Please tell me, let me know what is the difficulty. You will not speak your heart because there is no desire. The desire is Dhanam Janam Sundari. Desire is not Sharanagati. Up to you, you have free choice. राजो वाच नाते गुडाकेश यशोधारणम् बद्धांजलेर्वा भयमस्ति किंचेत् न वर्तितव्यं भवता कथांचन क्षेत्रे मदीय त्वाम अधर्म बंधु. Maharaj Parikshit, the king said, we have inherited the fame of Arjuna. Nate Gudakesha Yashodharana. Gudakesha is Arjuna. And Dharanam is that one who has in the disciplic succession or who has inherited. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself with folded hands, you need not fear for your life. But you cannot remain in my kingdom, for you are the friend of irreligion. Tvam adharma bandhu. You are the friend of irreligion. Adharma bandhu. Dvija bandhu and adharma bandhu. Shatra bandhu. The personality of Kali, who is a friend of all kind of irreligiosities, may be excused if he surrenders. Prabhupada's purport. He is the friend of all kind of irreligious. That's why Krishna says, Mam ekam sharanam aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami masacha. But if he surrenders, but in all circumstances, he cannot be allowed to live as a citizen in any part of the welfare state. The Pandavas were entrusted representatives of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, who practically brought into being the battle of Kurukshetra, but not for any personal interest. He wanted an ideal king like Maharaj Yudhishthira and his descendants like Maharaj Parikshit to rule the world. And therefore, a responsible king like Maharaj Parikshit could not allow the friend of irreligiosity to flourish in his kingdom. At the cost of good fame of the Pandavas, that is the way of wiping out corruption in the state and not otherwise. The friends of irreligiosity should be banished from the state, and that will save the state from corruption. Tvam vartamananam naradevadesho anupravrittoyam adharma pugaha labho anartham chauryam anaryam amho jeshta cha maya kalahascha dambha. If the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man god or an executive head, certainly irreligious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. So, if one does not follow religion, then all this will automatically become prominent. The principle of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, as we have already discussed, may be followed by the follower of any faith. There is no need to turn from Hindu to Mohammedan or from Mohammedan to Christian or to some other faith and thus become a renegade and not follow the principles of religion. The Bhagavatam religion urges following the principles of religion. The principles of religion are not the dogmas or regulative principles of a certain faith. Such regulative principles may be different in terms of the time and place concerned. One has to see whether the aim of religion have been achieved. Sticking to the dogma formulas without attaining the real principle is not good. A secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. But in the age of Kali, the executive head of state will be indifferent to such religious principles. And therefore, under their patronage, the opponents of religious principles such as greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will naturally follow. And so there will be no meaning to propaganda trying to stop corruption in the state. So what Srila Prabhupada is speaking in this purport, that the state should very much support the principles of religion. Prabhupada says the Bhagavatam urges following the principles of religion. And Prabhupada says these principles may be different in terms of time and place. And a secular state may be impartial to any particular type of faith, but the state cannot be indifferent to the principles of religion as above mentioned. So Prabhupada says one need not change his faith. He can follow whatever faith he is following, but he must follow the religious principles, these four religious principles. And a secular state means that he sees that everyone is following this, not that he does not care or become indifferent for people to not follow these religious principles. If one does not follow the religious principle, then all these evils in the form of greed, falsehood, cheating, and pilfery will naturally follow. न वर्तितव्यं तदधर्म बंधु धर्मेण सत्येन च वर्तितव्ये ब्रह्मवर्ते यत्र यजन्ति अग्ने Yagneshwaram Yagnavidana Vignaha. Therefore, O friend of religion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifice. According to truth and religious principles, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very beautiful verse. Dharmena satyena cha vartitavye. Where the principles of religion are established and it is being followed how? Yagneshwara Yagna Vidana Yagna. By worshipping the Lord of sacrifice, the personality of sacrifice, by performing sacrifice by experts, that is by the sages. Yagneshwara or Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies. Yagna by Vishnu. Such sacrificial ceremonies are prescribed differently in the scriptures for different ages. In other words, sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform act by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. This is very beautiful, very clear definition of what is sacrifice. Sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and perform an act by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. Same thing for bhajan. What does bhajan mean? Bhajan means to accept the authority of the Supreme Lord and perform an act which can please the Supreme Lord. That is bhajan. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and so they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. Any place or country where the supremacy of the Lord is accepted and thus sacrifice is performed is called Brahmavartaha. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. But the central point in pleasing Him is ascertained in the Bhagavatam, and that is truthfulness. The basic principle of religion is truthfulness. And the ultimate goal of all religion is to satisfy the Lord. Save pumsa paro dharma yati bhakti rathocate. In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtan Yajna. That is the opinion of the experts who know how to propagate the process of Yajna. What is the verse? In this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is Sankirtan Yajna. That is the opinion of the experts who know how to propagate the process of Yajna. What is this verse? Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Very famous verse. We should all be knowing this verse if we are following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dayashil Prabhu, what is this verse? Otherwise, what is the point in going to Mayapur if we don't know this verse?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी यज्ञ नाम जपो यज्ञ अस्मि प्रभु जी
No. I am saying this is from Bhagavatam. You are reciting from Bhagavatam. Yes, Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी कलेर्दुषो निधे राजन अस्ति एक महान गुण तीर्थनादेव कृष्णस्य मुक्त संग परम रजत.
Yeah. Good. Perfect answer. Kalir Devasha Gunaraj. I mean, there is this age of Kali is filled with fault. Asti eko mahaguna. But there is one very exceptional merit, Mahadguna. Kirtana Deva Saya, if one performs Sankirtan, Mukta Sangha Param Vijit. He can cross over all the obstacle and achieve the perfection. Lord Chaitanya preached this method of yajna, and it is understood from this verse that the sacrificial method of Sankirtan yajna may be performed anywhere and everywhere in order to drive away the personality of Kali and save human society from falling prey to the influence of the age. Yasmin Hare Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatma Murte Yagyatam Sham Tanoti Kavam Amogan Sthir Jangamana Antarbahir Vayuriveshayatmaha. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshippers. That we have seen in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that even those who are the worshippers of demigods, actually they are worshipping me, but through the indirect method. And whatever benedictions or reward or awards they receive, it is through me. Even though it is sometimes seen that the demigods like Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards, the rewards of such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord. And it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshippers. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, both moving and non-moving. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, including the demigods. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:23, the Lord Himself confirms the following shloka: Ye api anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita te api mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship me only, O son of Kunti. But they do so in a wrong way. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord Himself. Thus, the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. But there are many who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, the Indra, and are only material representative, who are only material representative of the Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect, qualitative representations of the Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. But those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations. But their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. So in this way we see that Maharaj Parikshit responded with Kali, and he told him to leave the kingdom. Going further, Suta Uvacha Parikshita evam adhishata Sakaler jata vepatu tam udyatsim ahedam dandapanim ivodayata. Srila Sud Goswami said the personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Parikshit, began to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like a Yamaraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows. The Kali was ready to kill the personality. The king was ready to kill the personality of Kali at once, as soon as he disobeyed his order. Otherwise, the king had no objection in allowing him to prolong his life. The personality of Kali also, after attempting to get rid of his punishment in various ways, decided that he must surrender unto him, and thus he began to tremble in fear in his life. The king or the executive head must be so strong as to stand before the personality of Kali, like the personality of death, Yamaraj. The king's order must be obeyed, otherwise the culprit's life is at risk. That is the way to rule the personality of Kali, who create disturbance in the normal life of the state citizen. So this verse speaks about the valor and the prowess of Maharaj Parikshit. Kaliruvacha यत्र क्वावथा वत्स्यामि सर्वभौमा तवाग्नय लक्षयेत तत्रपि त्वामर्थेषु सरसा सरसानम्. O your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrow wherever I look. The personality of Kali could see that Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of all lands, all over the world. And thus, anywhere he might live, he would have met with the same mood of the king. The personality of Kali was meant for mischief, and Maharaj Parikshit was meant for subduing all kind of mischief mongers, especially the personality of Kali. It was better, therefore, for the personality of Kali to have been killed by the king than there instead of being killed elsewhere. He was, after all, a surrendered soul before the king, and thus it was for the king to do what was required. तन्मे धर्म वृतां श्रेष्ठ स्थानं निर्देशितम् अर्हसि यत्रैव नियतो वत्स्य अधिष्ठतं ते अनुशासनम्. So see what Kali says. Therefore, O chief amongst the protector of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. It's very smart. The personality of Kali addressed Maharaj Parikshit as the chief amongst the protector of religiosity, because the king refrained from killing a person who surrendered unto him. A surrendered soul should be given all protection, even though he may be an enemy. That is the principle of religion. And we can just imagine what sort of protection is given by the personality of Godhead to the person who surrenders unto him, not as an enemy, but as a devoted servitor. The Lord protects the surrendered soul from all sins and all resultant sinful reactions of sinful acts. Sarva dharmani parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma shucha. Sutta uvacha abhyartitastada tasmai स्थानानि कलये ददौ द्यूतं पानं स्त्रियशूना यत्र धर्मश्चतुर्विधा. Very important verse. Very, very important verse. So it says that abhyartitha tada tasmai. So having been petitioned, having been requested by Kali to award him a place of permanent residence, Sthanani kalaye dado. So what were the places of permanent residence which were awarded to him, to Kali by Maharaj Parikshit? First he says is Dyutam. Dyutam is a place of gambling. Wherever there is gambling, that place Kali personified is present. Then Panam. Panam means liquor houses, where people are drinking or intoxication. Then third is Striya. Striya means not woman, but where there is illicit association with woman. And fourth is Suna. Suna means animal slaughter. So in these four places, Kali is permanently residing. Sud Goswami said Maharaj Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution and animal slaughter were performed. The basic principles of irreligiosity such as pride, prostitution, intoxication and falsehood counteract the four principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy and truthfulness. The personality of Kali was given permission to live in four places particularly mentioned by the king, namely the place of gambling, the place of prostitution, the place of drinking, and the place of animal slaughter. Srila Jiva Goswami directs that drinking against such scriptural principle as those which govern the Sautramani Yagna, association with women outside marriage, and killing animals against the injunctions of scriptures are irreligious. In the Vedas, two different types of injunctions are there. One type for the pravartas, or those who are engaged in material enjoyment, and other type for the nivrittas, or those who are engaged in becoming liberated from material bondage. Pravritti marg and nivritti marg. The Vedic injunction is to gradually regulate their activities towards the path of liberation. Therefore, for those who are in the lowest stage of ignorance and who indulge in wine, women, and flesh, drinking by performing, Sautramani Yagna, association of women by marriage, and flesh eating by sacrifices, are sometimes recommended. Such recommendations in the Vedic literature are meant for a particular class of men and not for all. But because they are injunctions of the Vedas for a particular type of person, such activities by the Pravrittas are not considered adharma. Once man's food may be poison for others. Similarly, what is recommended for those in the mode of ignorance may be poison for those in the mode of goodness. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu therefore affirms that recommendations in the scriptures for a certain class of men are never to be considered adharma or irreligious. But such activities are factually adharma, and they are never to be encouraged. The recommendations in the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such adharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually towards the path of dharma. You follow this principle which Srila Prabhupada is emphatically recommending here. So those who are on the lowest rung, those who are in the lower modes, the lower class. So for them to become regulated or for them to progress, some concessions are given. You are able to hear what I am speaking? Some concessions are given. But that is not for those who are on the higher pedestal. For those who are in the lower mode, those who are in the mode of goodness, they are not allowed this kind of concession. It is only for those who are in the mode of ignorance. It is for those who are having animalistic life. Like when Srila Prabhupada went to America. So what was the situation? They were engaged in all these four type of activities. All the four, they were rampant. And how Srila Prabhupada elevated them? He got them married so that their illicit association with women would stop. Prabhupada made them stop taking drugs. So he gave them a higher taste. He gave them the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Prabhupada engaged them in various services so that they could give up their meat eating and gambling propensities and gradually elevated them. But it is not recommended for those who are already on the path of Krishna consciousness. This is for those who are living like animalistic life. For them, this yagna is recommended. What is being talked about here? The recommendations of the scriptures are not meant for the encouragement of such a dharma, but for regulating the necessary adharma gradually towards the path of dharma. Following in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit, all executive heads of state have a duty to see that the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, are established in the state, and that the principles of irreligion, namely pride, illicit female association or prostitution, intoxication, and falsity, are checked by all means. And to make the best use of a bad bargain, the personality of Kali will be transferred to places of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. If there are any places like that, those who are addicted to these irreligious habits may be regulated by the injunction of the scripture. In no circumstance should such habit be encouraged by any state. In other words, the state should categorically stop all sorts of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. The state which wants to eradicate corruption by majority may introduce the principles of religion in the following manner. So Prabhupada, out of compassion, he gives the agenda or the propaganda which the government should make its religion or principle. So the first recommendation by Srila Prabhupada is 2 compulsory fasting days in a month, if not more austerity. So this is for all of us. The minimum 2 compulsory fasting days in a month. Even from the economic point of view, such 2 fasting days in a month in the state will save tons of food. And the system will also act very favorably on the general health of the citizen. The Prabhupada is saying that 2 problems will be solved. What are the 2 problems that will solve by 2 days of fasting? Bolo? What 2 problems will be solved? Yes, Purushottam?
From hunger and health.
Yes. There will be no scarcity of grains. If voluntarily everybody refrains from eating on 2 days, millions and tons of grains will be saved. And if he does not eat on minimum 2 days in a month, then his health also will be always in good shape. So health and hunger, both will become eliminated. The health issues will be eliminated and the hunger problem will be eliminated. So this is Prabhupada's recommendation. Second, there must be compulsory marriage of young boys and girls attaining 24 years of age and 16 years of age respectively. There is no harm in co-education in the school and colleges, provided the boys and girls are duly married. And in case there is any intimate connection between a male and female student, they should be married properly without illicit relation. The Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution and this should be abolished. Prabhupada very much emphasized on this regulative principle of no illicit sex. And how to make this happen is by early marriage. Prabhupada says compulsory marriage. When the boy becomes 24 and the girl is 16 years. And once married, there is no question of separation. The Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution and should be abolished. The citizens of the state must give in charity at least 50% of their income for the purpose of creating a spiritual atmosphere in the state or in human society, both individually and collectively. How many will agree? Prabhupada says at least 50%. The principles of the Bhagavatam should be preached, namely Karma Yoga or doing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. Regular hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized person or realized souls. Chanting of the glories of the preaching, Srimad Bhagavatam. Residing in a place where the atmosphere is saturated with God consciousness. If the state is regulated by above processes, naturally there will be God consciousness everywhere. So whether we are able to do it on the basis of the entire country or the entire state or not, we should be at least be able to do it in our place of residence. In our place of residence, then we follow these 4 principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy and truthfulness. Then the influence of Kali will be less. There will be less conflicts. There will be less differences and less quarrel. And one will be able to follow the path of self-realization. One must do that. To the extent we accept the principles given by the Acharya, to the extent we come under the protection. And if you do not do that, then the Kali, influence of Kali will remain. Gambling and all descriptions, even speculative business enterprise, is considered to be degrading. And when gambling is encouraged in the state, there is complete disappearance of truthfulness. allowing young boys and girls to remain unmarried past the above mentioned ages, and licensing animal slaughter of all descriptions should be at once prohibited. The flesh eaters may be allowed to take flesh as mentioned in the scriptures and not otherwise. Intoxication of all description, human smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and drinking tea must be prohibited. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Small section is left. So these are the 4 places where Kali has official influence. If anyone is engaged in this 4 illicit activity, then he is a follower of Kali. He is a Chela, Kali is a Chela. Hare Krishna. Stop here. Any question or contribution from your side? The punishment and reward for Kali. You see how much in this entire chapter the focus of Prabhupada is on 4 aspects of religion: performing austerity, remaining truthful, cleanliness, and mercy. Hare Krishna. There's nothing to discuss. Everything is accepted. Out of the principles given by Srila Prabhupada, how many of us are following it? Or we have even the desire to follow it? Not easy. Superficially, we will be thinking that we are following. Yes, there should be, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, why
Hare
these
Krishna.
4 principles are called as principle of religion?
Come again. There is a little echo, so I couldn't hear. Why? Speak a little slowly. Are you able to hear?
Prabhuji, why
Yeah.
these 4 principles are called as principles of religion?
Because this leads one to practice the dharma. What is the dharma? What is the dharma?
To abide by the orders of the Supreme Lord.
So who will be able to abide? One who is pure. An impure person will never be able to abide. These 4 principles brings the personality to come to the platform of following religion by making him pure. What is the difficulty in following these 4 principles? One who is not following these 4 principles, that means he is influenced by Kali. He is a follower of Kali. Are you able to hear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very simple. Prabhupada has mentioned everything in the purport. So many times he has said. One who is following dharma, that means he has to first follow these 4 principles. So many purports we said. Prabhupada was saying that the state must support these 4 principles. It is the duty of every executive head to do it. That is why when we come to Srila Prabhupada's society, ISKCON, these 4 regulative principles are told from day 1. If a person does not follow the 4 regulative principles, he cannot even chant. He will not be able to chant. Why those who are not following the 4 regulative principles, They find it so difficult to chant. What's their difficulty in chanting? Because they are not following the principles of dharma. When he's not following the principle of dharma, then what is he? He is irreligious, adharmic, sinful. Okay, anyone else?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I don't see participation from your side. This passive hearing will not do any good to you. सब भूल भाल भी जाएगा, कुछ नहीं याद रहेगा, क्योंकि हृदय नहीं आ रहा है. अभी भी हृदय जो है वो कहीं और ही जा रहा है. बताओ, प्रभुपाद जी ने 4 रिकमेंडेशन क्या दिए? बोलो. Are we really fasting on 2 days? We are preparing so many preparations for Ekadashi and enjoying Ekadashi more than other days. Where are we following? Where are we giving the system relief? What to speak of the second recommendation? Charity should be at least, Prabhupada says, 50%. What it means? That live a very simple life. Then what was the other recommendation? कोई बोलेगा ही नहीं, करना ही नहीं, तो बोलना क्या? What are the other recommendations? Yes, Sonika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, getting married, the marriage age of boys should be 24 and girls 16.
16. We are inclined to follow? No, we will not follow. Because we have our own aspirations. That is more important than what the Acharya is recommending. I met one person with whom I had gone to Vrindavan. He told me हमारे यहाँ शादियाँ बहुत जल्दी कर देते हैं. Very big businessman, very successful, but very pious also. I told you, very pious. Why? Because if you do that, then the character will not get spoiled. There is protection from the influence of Kali, which is in the form of illicit connection. Okay, very good. How many agree? Even devotees, initiated devotees don't agree. What is the next recommendation? बोलिए रविंद्र and Priyanka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Preaching Prabhuji, preaching Srimad Bhagavatam and the instruction of Bhagavad Gita.
Where is the desire to preach? No desire to preach. We are happy. We want to enjoy our Krishna consciousness. We don't want to take any trouble, any sacrifice. How many of you went out to really distribute books? Hardly 1 or 2 days. That also make a show of, yes, बताने के लिए है कि हाँ मैं गया था बाहर. एक दिन गया, मेट्रो पे गया, इसके पास गया, उसके पास गया. Actually, from our heart, we are not trying to do any heart work. To preach to someone and make the unconscious person become Krishna conscious. I was watching a YouTube video. I will share with you. There is one devotee, very simple devotee. He has turned the entire colony to become Krishna conscious in Najiabad. Everyone in that colony is practicing Krishna consciousness. The entire park has become a Hare Krishna park. I was amazed. I shared with you the preaching efforts of our devotees in Delhi University. I was surprised, shocked. Delhi School of Economics to have an official program. They are thinking of St. Stephen's and FMS also. Why? Because there is a desire. And they have the enthusiasm to accept whatever is austerity. The devotee who organized, he says, I was, trying for last 2 years, and then it happened today, yesterday. It is not a cakewalk. It will never be a cakewalk. But how much effort is there? How much intent is there to preach? I told you one devotee, he has taken a vow and he is going to succeed. He is preaching to the professors and the department heads in Delhi University and installing Srimad Bhagavatam in their houses. He has done for more than 30 professors and head of the state. They buy Srimad Bhagavatam and he goes there and installs Srimad Bhagavatam, does worship of Srimad Bhagavatam and takes a commitment from them to study Srimad Bhagavatam. And in between he visits their house to see how they are progressing. I was shocked to see yesterday, at least 3 of the faculty members were there full time. One was the Dean of Department of Commerce, Mr. Rajesh Singh, and he told me I donated 1 lakh rupees for Rohini temple. I have become your Pandav member. When he came to know my name is Pandav Prem Das, he said, Prabhuji, I am also Pandav. I smiled at him. I said, how? He said, I am your Pandav member. I said, okay, thank you very much. So much preaching. How? With sincere boys. By their sincere effort. They have converted these atheistic peoples in the academia to become so favorable. Because the desire is there. Our desire, we are still absorbed in our own agendas, in our own plans, in our own dream-making world. We don't want to do the hard work, to dedicate this life for the mission of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. No. Then we remain where we are. I stop here, it is getting late. Hare Krishna. Please read these chapters again and again. Who has the Ramya? You will Ramya, you are there?
Wait.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. You will present tomorrow?
Yes, Prabhuji.
आवाज आ रहा है आपको?
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, बोलिए.
हाँ जी प्रभुजी, कल मैं प्रेजेंट करूंगी प्रभुजी.
आपको हर वर्ष प्रेजेंट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ये जो अभी ट्रेंड बना रखा है, दिस इज नॉट द ट्रेंड. यू डोंट हैव टू शो एवरी वर्ष. दैट इज नॉट नेसेसरी. Yeah, and try to take up the principal points, the principal theme, the principal given in Srila Prabhupada's purport, and emphasize on few verses. That is sufficient. Okay. Who has the next chapter? 17th chapter. Who is to present the 17th chapter?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, रविंद्र मैं हूँ.
ठीक है. 18th. Who has 18th?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, 18th मेरा है.
Okay. Fine. So we will hear from Ramya tomorrow, and then maybe on Friday we will conclude this chapter, and then we'll see how we proceed. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See, I am not chastising you, but I am, just sharing with you that what we are doing is not sufficient. We should not be complacent. What we are doing is not to the potential that we can do. We are still trying to preserve ourselves in our own ways. We are thinking our personal life is more important than our devotional part. So if you do that, then progress will be hardly any progress. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam.